both sides agreed on implementing the consensus reached by the two heads of state on the June 5th in the phone calls and also the Geneva talks.
The idea is we're going to go back and speak to President Trump and make sure he approves it. They're going to go back and speak to President Xi and make sure.
China and the United States have over the past 2 days conducted professional, rational, in-depth and candid exchanges. China's international trade representative with the Ministry of Commerce and Vice Minister of Commerce made the remarks when briefing the press following the first meeting of the China-US Economic and Trade Consultation Mechanism held in London. The two sides have agreed in principle the framework for implementing consensus between the two heads of state. Here is what Li said.
In the past 2 days, the Chinese and the U.S. teams have had in-depth exchanges. Our communication is very professional, regional, in-depth, and candid. In principle, both sides agreed on implementing the consensus reached by the two heads of state on the June 5th in the phone calls and also the Geneva talks.
U.S. Commerce Secretary said the deal should result in restrictions on rare earth minerals and magnets being resolved. Here is what he said.
We have reached a framework to implement the Geneva Consensus and the call between the two presidents, right? So that was on June 5th. So we've combined those two. We've reached a framework for implementation. Now the process will be, we're both going to go back. We, Ambassador Greer, myself, and Scott Bessent, who just left a little earlier, which you saw, because he's testifying tomorrow on the Hill. So the idea is we're going to go back and speak to President Trump and make sure he approves it. They're going to go back and speak to President Xi and make sure he approves it. And if that is approved, we will then implement the framework that we have worked hard over these last 2 days. Obviously, the team stayed at it until it was done late into the evening.
Well, that was a topic of discussion for specialists here, right? Each side had specialists to talk about fentanyl. Clearly, that's a priority for our president, and frankly, for all Americans, right? This is not a partisan issue. We would expect to see progress from the Chinese on that issue.
Are you? We do absolutely expect that the topic of rare earth minerals and magnets with respect to the United States of America will be resolved in this framework implementation. That is a fundamental part of that. Also, there were a number of measures the United States of America put on when those rare earths were not coming. You should expect those to come off sort of, as President Trump said, in a balanced way. When they approve the licenses, then you should expect that our export implementation.
Both sides said they would now take the plan to their country's presidents Donald Trump and Xi Jinping for approval. The announcement came after 2 days of negotiations in London between top officials from Beijing and Washington. For more updates, keep watching the Indian Express.